Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for coming back to the channel. This week I want to do something a little bit different. I want to talk a little bit about gear. Next week we'll get back to some lessons, but I had a studio session this past week that really made me excited about the amp that I'm currently using, that I've had for a little over a year, that I think is my last amp I'll ever buy, to be completely honest. And if anyone knows me, that would be a very bold statement, because I love gear and I love kind of experimenting. But man, I could not be more stoked on this. So I felt like it warranted me doing a quick video review of this amp. It's not really a review, because that would be non-biased, and I'm extremely biased right now about this amp. So anyway, if you ever are curious about hearing one of these things, I would go check one out. If there's any local dealers, it is worth the time to spend with it and get used to it and check it out for yourself. So let's switch over. What I want to talk about today is the Carr Mercury V. Carr is a company that's based out of North Carolina. Small amp company, boutique build. Steve Carr, who runs the company, is an amazing person. I got a chance to talk to him personally when I was purchasing this amp, and he was extremely helpful, very responsive to emails when I had questions. Great company altogether. They build their own cabinets, like old school pine cabinets, from local sourced wood, which is amazing. Craftsmanship on the cabinets themselves is amazing. It's a great amp. So what I wanted to talk a little bit about is the Carr Mercury V. What does the V stand for? Sometimes people think it's Mercury 5, like it's like the 5th installment of this amp. The V actually stands for 6V6, which are the tubes, the power tubes in this amp. Most would associate that with more of a blackface Fender Deluxe kind of vibe, but this amp is actually kind of Marshall voiced. In my opinion, I can get the Fender and the Marshall thing out of this, which I think it's a Swiss Army knife amp as far as I'm concerned. But let's jump over to the panel. I'm going to show you guys around just a little bit. I'm not going to do a super long video. I just want this to be succinct and just explain why I love it so much. Alright guys, the Carr Mercury V in all its glory. Like I said, pine cabinet combo amp. It's a 112 speaker, and I just wanted to walk through exactly what this amp has to offer. So the first thing you might notice by looking at it, there's a decent amount of knobs on it, but there's nothing that's, you know, kind of overkill like you'd see out of like a 2 or 3 channel amp. Basically, bare bones minimum. Let me just explain. There's kind of 3 voices, and that lays in this boost section right here. All the way to the left, it's a 3 toggle switch here, but all the way to the left, that's going to be your cleanest of your cleans. Alright, and if I go to the middle section, that's going to be crunchy. All this is going to be on the neck pickup of my Sir Strat. It's very pick responsive, touch reactive. If I dig in, you can hear I'm getting a little bit of breakup there. If I'm gentle with it, it can be clean. It's pretty cool. And if I go all the way to the right, it's going to be your kind of heaviest gain. We go to the bridge pickup really quick. It's a humbucker in the bridge. It's the thorn bucker. Back to the neck pickup. the heaviest setting. Now, let me talk a little bit about these, the high and the low. You might be like, what is that? Well, it's kind of two independent volumes. So volume for the high frequency and volume for the low frequency. You can definitely hear the difference. Here, let me just strum a chord. Makes a huge difference. Very, very usable. And not only do we have that, but we just have a regular treble mid bass EQ section right here, which is also extremely usable, very effective. I'm not going to go through that because you guys know what those do. But what's really rad about this is, depending on the room you're in, I found, you know, each different room is kind of going to react differently frequency-wise. So I've had lows higher than highs. I've had the highs you know, cranked and the lows down depending on the room and how it sounds. So it's awesome to have that control from room to room depending on how sonically you're sitting in the mix and whatnot. What is also one of my favorite things, and the thing that sold me on this amp, is the attenuator. So right now I'm attenuated. I'm actually probably around 1.5 watts, and it is loud. It's definitely like a bedroom volume, but it's still pretty loud. And I would say when I'm playing in bars, I might have it cranked all the way up on the 4. Because, you know, we love, as guitar players, we love having these built into amps because we can get the tone we want, saturated or not. We can get the tone we want at a very low volume, which is, you know, friendly to a lot of sound men. They'll love you for that. The amp itself is 16 watts. So, you know, we're in this setting, like I said, it's a maximum of 4 watts and down to 1/2 watt. But if, I'll just let you listen. When I turn this to the 16, listen to the volume. You can hear just like the difference. It's quite different. See how much quieter it is when I move to the 16 watts? It is a lot louder. There is a great amount of clean headroom in this amplifier. My favorite setting that I usually use is I usually have it on the middle boost section, in case I want it to be a little dirty. Great sounding amp. I will also say this is something that, you know, some people might really like if they're into a little bit higher gain. So this series parallel switch right here, if I go down, it's basically like jumping the channels on a Marshall. So listen, this is the clean channel right here. How much hair got on that? Now put it in the middle section. Super crunchy, high gain. So that switch is great. Like, I use that in the studio when I was doing leads and stuff. I would put that on just to get more girth and crunchiness out of the amp and more saturation. So anyway, the amp itself, I mean, simple EQ, reverb sounds great. You can go from very, very clean, subtle reverb to surfy. Anyway, and no reverb if you want. I find that this amp, it's hard to make it sound bad. But anyway, so high volume, low volume, series parallel switch, 3 boost settings, clean, crunchy, saturated, awesome reverb, great EQ, attenuator, and it has a line out. So if you find yourself in a situation in the studio where you got to be dead quiet, straight from this into that. There are no impulse responses or reactive load from what I know of this amp. I could be wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but this sounds amazing. I've plugged it straight into Pro Tools and I had zero problems with how the amp sounded. If I got something like the Sir reactive load, I'm sure it would sound even better, but it's pretty darn good, guys. I would definitely check this amp out if you're looking for something, if you're in the market for like a high-end boutique amp that is kind of the amp to win all amps. So this is the ring to rule them all, everybody. Oh, also, side note, this handle is the bomb. Super strong, sturdy. It's not that heavy, which is a big plus for your back. But check them out, guys. Carr Amplification. Check them out. They got a bunch of different amps. They all sound amazing. I'll see you next time.